Vimy. That's Komen, my husband. We live in Nairobi, Kenya. We have a son called Dylan. He is 24 years old. And we have Kushi, who is 22, and she's a special child. So Kushi, when she was born, she did not cry at birth. And I think they thought she had water in her lungs, so they put her in the incubator for a few days, pumped her with medication. So she had lots of challenges ever since she was born, from feeding to feeding, obviously, as a baby, that's your main concern. And over the years, you saw that all her milestones had been delayed. So we had lots of testing done in the States. We had done it in South Africa. We had been to India. And some people would say she's on the autistic spectrum. Some would say she's got Angelman syndrome. And everyone would have their own
diagnosis.
But then it came a point in time when she was about 8-9 years old, and I said enough is enough. A diagnosis doesn't matter to me, and I don't want to know her labeled with any diagnosis. And that was the end of it. So I have just worked with every challenge that has come my way, I work on it. So initially, when as a little girl, as a baby, feeding was always a problem. By the time she was about 4 years old is when she started eating solids. That was a big achievement for us. Then we came to the potty training. So that was another very big challenge. We would have our potties with us wherever we went. In the car, wherever we went, we would take it with us. For her long call, we actually would put a suppository in her, hold her, so she would know how to do poo-poo in the potty. And then once she did it, we would clap and we would really, so she knows, okay, this is it, she's achieved it. Then she got the hang of it. Then eventually came a point where she needed to sit on the toilet. That was another challenge that we went through. She achieved it. If I go into motor skills, I was told that she's never going to walk. That's when I walked out and I said, I'm a physiotherapist by profession. So I said, if there's one thing I'm going to achieve, is my child is going to walk, no matter what. And so everything was delayed. And you keep comparing your special child to your neurotypical child. And we would have fights. Because I would say Dylan is sitting at 5 months and Kushi is nearly 11 months and she still cannot sit. And he would tell me, stop comparing the two.
I think between the two of us, I think you have been the more proactive in the sense that you could see it. I was actually hidden in hope, and I was hiding in hope that no, it'll happen. No, it'll happen. You don't worry, it'll happen. And Vimy would always be, but it's not happening. We got to do something about it.
By the time he said yes, she needs help, was already 3 years. And he would say, okay, what would you like to do? And I'd say, okay, we need to go and see an occupational therapist who can work on her fine motor skills. Or she's really not walking properly. I need to see a developmental therapist who can teach her how to walk properly. Because any physiotherapist will not be able to do that. Or any even pediatric physiotherapist would not be able. And so I had to look for somebody who's very specialized. And I found that person, and that person helped Kushi to walk up and down the stairs. She got her to running, she got her to, all her gross motor skills were achieved. So communication for me is the biggest challenge. And her behavior. Her behavior, she's come a long way, but there's still behavioral issues, especially when she has her periods. And a week before her periods. Now, she started her periods when she was about 13 and a half. So what I did a year before, I knew she would start her periods then because I started around that time. So I would put a panty liner in her underwear, just so she kind of gets used to something being there. And then slowly, I would put a pad. And I did that for a year, on and off. So when her periods actually started, it wasn't like she took it out and threw it away. She just accepted it. But then a week before her periods, she would get emotional, she'd get aggressive. I guess she didn't understand what was happening inside her body. and she couldn't tell she was having pain. I would ask her, Kushi, are you having stomach pain? Are you having back pain? Are you getting a headache? But she just could not. She would throw things, she's broken lights, she would hit people, she would just randomly hit anyone. And that would upset me, and that still upsets me. That's the one thing that hurts me the most, is when she lashes out on somebody else. So those are the challenges I'm facing now. What she has achieved is unreal. I used to take her cycling, and we used to strap on a bicycle. We used to take the Velcro straps and tie it to the pedals. And him and I, we would push. And I would literally pedal her. Then we got a teacher who would take her outside on the road. And all the askaris, the guards would say, they would laugh and they'd say, oh, this child is never going to cycle. And so the instructor would come and tell me, they're saying she's not going to learn. I said, you do what I'm telling you to do. Yeah? We ignore everybody else. She's going to cycle. And it's as simple as that. She cycles now independently all over. We went to France a few months back, and we actually specifically did 2-day holiday where she could just cycle. You fear with water. That just in case when there's something happens and your child can't swim, it's the biggest fear for a mother, especially for me. And I would take her for swimming lessons, and I would fight with all the instructors. I would pay in advance, and they say she doesn't even know how to move her legs. She cannot kick. My lessons have gone to waste. I would get another instructor, and that went back and forth. It took me, I don't know how many years. The girl can swim. She swims better than I can. You can throw her in the ocean and she can swim. That's an achievement, the biggest achievement. And even bigger is tennis. Tennis, when she was about 9 years old or 10 years old, I would stand behind her, and the coach is there, and I would stand behind her to hit, and he's throwing the ball and I'm doing this, and Kushi is looking here. So there was no eye-hand coordination, absolutely no eye-hand. And I would cry, I'm like, Kushi, you have to look here where the ball is. Now the girl plays across the net independently with the coach.
Full court.
Full court. And she is playing.
But I think the message here is that persistence, and you have to expose them. And we have exposed Kushi to everything. Whatever we did or whatever we did with my son,
yes,
we did with Kushi. Where she is now is because of all that exposure. Yes, she still gets frustrated because of her challenges in communication. I mean, all of us get frustrated. She gets frustrated a little bit more. But if you're going to lock her up, can you imagine what would happen? We could not fathom that. And I think she has now blossomed into a young lady. Yeah. And because she got exposed, she learned what good behavior is. She learned from the others.
So the bottom line is acceptance. The minute you accept the child for who he or she is, you will expose them. You will be with them always. The minute you don't accept them, that is when you will hide them. It's acceptance, not even love. It's acceptance. That's the way I see it.
Correct, absolutely. I mean, I would like to use an analogy of you have a dirty room. What do? There's two things you can do. You can either clean the room, or you can put the dust under the carpet. What do? You generally clean it. It's the same with our children. You put them under the carpet, the dust is still there. It's going to stay. It's going to get worse. You clean the room, it looks so much better. Expose your children. Treat them just the way you would do others, your other children. Give them the same opportunities, and you will see that they will blossom. You put them under the rug, it just gets worse.